Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and this video is going to be a champion guide for Sicia Flame Tongue, where we'll dive into an infographic showing all of the information on her in one snapshot. We'll go over the masteries, the booking process, the build, and where she shines most. So let's get into it. Alrighty, and first, a massive thank you to SNA Reaper because I do not have Sicia on my main account. So thank you for letting me use your account, Reaper, so that I can get this content out there for people, especially with us having the 10x event coming up for Sicia. I wanted to get this video out there. And the way we're going to get to Sicia is by going into the index under Demon Spawn. The Force, Affinity, Attack, Champion, Legendary right here is Sicia Flame Tongue. And as we dive into the infographic on Sicia, I do want to let you know about a website called Lootcakes that allows gamers to earn gift cards by sharing their spending data in free-to-play games. They're doing a $25 giveaway as a promotion for using the link down below in the video description and a pinned comment to create an account. So I would definitely recommend giving Lootcakes a shot and checking out that website. So let's go ahead and pull up the infographic on Sicia right here. You know me, I've always got my infographics ready to go for these champion guides. And also, just like the Lootcakes link, if you want access to this infographic, it will be down below in the video description and also the pinned comment. Nice and easy to find, so you can pull this up and take a look at it. We'll go over the masteries specifically. I think there's a couple different ways to do the masteries on Sicia. She's got a triple hitter, so there may be some cases where Giant Slayer works. This is the masteries that Reaper had on the account, but I'll pull it up a little bit later and talk about that. So just be careful. You don't ever want to blindly copy masteries, but I do like to put them on the infographic so you can see exactly the masteries that are on the champion being used in the video. So let's put that away and let's go over the base stats and then the kit. So first of all, about the stats, she does scale with attack. So 1586 is a pretty good base attack. You're going to be able to bump that attack up pretty high with attack percent chests and things like that. The base HP is definitely low, but she has good attack and good defense for an attack-based champion. The speed of 97 is pretty normal, and then the crit rate and crit damage, nothing super outlier there. It is a little bit weird that the crit damage is 60 because usually it's 50 or 63. Like if you go to a famous damage dealer like a Trunda, you'll see the crit damage is 63. If you go to somebody who's not really a damage dealer or not designed to be built like that, typically it'll be 50. So it's usually either 50 or 63. Sicia is a very weird exception that it's not 50 or 63. I hardly ever see that. It's actually 60. So yeah, I honestly can't think of another champion off the top of my head as I'm going over these base stats that isn't 50 or 63. So definitely something interesting about Sicia. And then she is a debuffer, so getting the 20 accuracy is nice. And then 30 base resistance is also nice because she gets a total of 50 between accuracy and res, which is pretty solid. Then for the kit refresher course, we've got an A1 that is going to be a triple hitter. I like that. Each hit with a 15% chance that you can bulk up to 30% of increasing the duration of HP burn debuffs on the target by 1 turn, and it scales with attack. If you want to know the multiplier of the A1, you can see on the infographic there in the bottom middle there, you've got a 1.05 multiplier that scales with attack on that A1. Then for the A2, we can book this to a 3-turn cooldown. It's going to be an AoE attack that can also be booked to a 100% chance of placing AoE weaken. Now, it can also place AoE decreased defense if there are at least 2 enemies under an HP burn debuff, and then instantly activates any HP burn debuffs on the target and decreases the duration of those HP burn debuffs by 1 turn. So basically accelerates the fact of those HP burns dealing out their damage, which you can do some crazy things in the spider with that ability. And the multiplier for that, since it is an AoE attack, is 3.7 times attack on the A2 there. Then for the A3, we've got places an HP burn debuff on this champion for 3 turns, then another AoE attack. 75% chance that you can book up to 100 of placing HP burn debuff on all enemies for 3 turns. Grant an extra turn if the HP burn debuff is placed on all enemies. So high accuracy and getting that booked up to 100% can be very impactful because you're going to get an extra turn, like a free Relentless Set proc from this ability hitting all those qualifiers. And since it is an AoE attack, that ability is going to scale with a 3.5 AoE times attack there on the A3. And then as far as the AI, in most situations, from what I'm able to tell, she will prioritize this A2, which is fortunate or unfortunate. It just kind of depends on the situation, because a lot of times you would like certain spider strats to maybe prioritize the AoE HP burn debuff here for 3 turns on all enemies. So just kind of depends what you're working with there. But the AI can be a little bit wonky on her. It's just something you got to really pay attention to. And I can't wait until they come out with that patch they teased a while ago, where we're going to have the ability to customize champion AI as to what we want them to do. That's going to be one of the biggest changes to ever hit Raid. We can finally get those teams to perform how we want them to on full auto. But I digress. That's a different rant for a different day. We've got the passive here, Metaphysics. That's going to increase the champion speed by 3 and damage inflicted by 3% for each ally under an HP burn debuff. If Cardio is on the same team, all allies will heal by 3% of max HP from HP burn debuffs instead of receiving damage. So it's going to make the opposite effect of the HP burn. And speaking of pairing with Cardio, Plarium has really been going hard in the paint with getting champions that have the wing aesthetic. So we've got Sicia as a new champion, and then she pairs with Cardio, who also has the wing aesthetic going on. And then we got, in the very same faction, Godseeker Aniri. I mean, obviously not crazy wings, but we still got wings going on. Then we got Astralon, who was a fusion event not too long ago, coming out with the wing aesthetic, and also had a tandem ability that works with him, and a summoning shard event that we had with the 150 ancient event, which brings us back into the demon spawn where we were with Sicia Flametongue, and we've got more wing aesthetic going on here. So it was definitely a goal in 2021 for Plarium to really drive home that wing aesthetic on their champions. And I didn't even mention Lydia, the Death Siren, as part of that, who was released recently, well, not recently, but semi-recently, as the reward for completing Faction Wars, the first iteration, the 819 stars. So yeah, definitely going crazy here with the wings and driving home lots of new champions with that aesthetic. But I can't complain too much because it is definitely cool. Sicia Flametongue is one of the most amazing looking champions in the game. And I got off on a little bit of a tangent there, so I don't even remember if I mentioned the fact that Sicia does actually have a pretty good aura of ally accuracy in all battles by 60. That can be a really impactful aura for the Doom Tower when you've got to get up closer to like 400 accuracy to start landing stuff on certain situations and stages. And then also for newer players that don't have a really good Great Hall yet, you're able to hit those accuracy thresholds a lot easier. 60 is a big chunk for all allies in all battles. So now let's go ahead and fire up the Sicia that is built here on Reaper's account, and we'll talk about the gearing, the masteries, the booking, and all that type of stuff. So here is the Sicia that Reaper has built here, and I'll talk about the build and just the thought process that goes into building Sicia. Now remember, she is a debuffer, so we're probably gonna want an accuracy banner most of the time. Now right here you can see 379 accuracy. That's more than enough for dungeon content, but that is going to make her viable for some of those higher stages of the Doom Tower and able to go a little bit higher in the arena when you start going up against higher opponents, depending on the tier that you're in. The amulet, you're probably... So, like, she does have 2 AoE attacks, but she's not like some incredible damage dealer, so you can really kind of build her as a utility debuffer. So really any amulet you have that's got good substat rolls with accuracy on it ideally would be a fine choice. And then the ring is going to be your same story there, just the most stat you can get, like the most attack, defense, and HP that you can get on your ring. Really doesn't matter, just pick the best one you have that can give you the most stat. And since she is a debuffer, typically most of the time we're going to want to go with speed boots, and then we're going to be prioritizing accuracy, speed, HP, defense, attack. I mean, really, you need it all with Sicia. It depends on if you're building her to kind of do damage for you or just as a utility support. There's some different routes you can go with her, but the defense percent chest with the stats that it has here is totally fine, especially with having plenty of accuracy. Going divine speed, perception, immortal, all those sets can make perfect sense on her. You could maybe alternate right here. If you're going support, you can make 1 defense and 1 HP. And then the top ones are pretty simple. Again, you're just looking for the best blend of speed, HP, accuracy, toughness, and the type of stuff that you need on the Sicia build here to make it all even out. Then for the booking process, the unfortunate thing about Sicia is she does take 14 books. Up on the top left of that infographic, you can see the 14 by the legendary book there. So yeah, you've got the 4 plus the 5 is 9, plus the 5 is 14, and none on the passive. So definitely rough, and the books are pretty impactful on her. I'd say you definitely want to get the A2 and the A3, especially if you're going to be going crazy with some spider strats. But the cool thing is, if you get it optimized and you don't need it to be a long fight, there's some crazy spider teams out there that are doing like 20, 30-second runs, and you don't even need the Sicia booked. If you get the right team built around it, you can go ahead and just have her kind of place those HP burns. But the problem is you want it to be consistent. So you can see here it says 75% chance. So you can make it work, but the books definitely help. I've seen some crazy teams though without investing a ton of books in Sicia. It just depends on the situation. But yeah, you're gonna have to weigh the booking process in terms of how your account is kind of going and where you're gonna be using Sicia. Then on the Masteries, like always, there's a few different ways you could go. You could go Eagle Eye. You could take like Oppressor to get more turn meter fill, because she's gonna be placing a lot of debuffs with all the AoE HP burns and the decreased defense and the weaken. So Oppressor could make sense in the right situation. Giant Slayer, she has a triple hit A1, so that can make sense. Really a lot of different ways you could go here on the tier 6 mastery, and you're gonna want to kind of take note instead of blindly copying things based on how you're using your Sicia, whether it's clan boss, dungeons, arena. There's a lot of different ways you could go here on the masteries. And then if you want to see what Sicia looks like in one of these spider strat, HP burn strats, I'll show you. This is kind of a mid-level Sicia spider team where it's not going to be that insane optimized 20-second run, but it is 100% win rate, and it should be around a minute or so. And then you're going to see how she kind of performs in this team. And I'll try to get out of the way as best I can so you can see Sicia there. We've got the Ignatius placing it down. And it gets a little bit crazy, it gets a little bit laggy. It can actually come down a lot to your frame rate and your computer in terms of getting these Sicia teams to be crazy. Even when you do get them optimized, there's a little bit of a window there between like 15 and 30, 40 seconds, depending on how that lag kind of hits you. So how this team's going to work here is a couple champions are probably going to die, like Cold Heart and Renegade. And then it'll end up getting burnt down just because of all the crazy HP burn stuff going on. The Heartseeker from Cold Heart. There we go. And now it's going to end up getting blasted down. The next round of these HP burn ticks. And then when Sicia does her thing. And there it is. There's the leg. And boom. Blows up the spider. So as you can see, Sicia is capable of doing some absolute nuts things in the spider. At some point, I want to really do a deep dive and talk about, like this deserves a dedicated video where I go over this and this only and talk about the spider team, the strat behind this. But I wanted to at least show you it in action, that Sicia can do crazy things in the spider. And I'll show you another run so you can see her in action a little bit more here after we do the grading process. But I want to show you the live kind of grading of her here. So Spider 5, anytime you're involved in like a world-class team for the highest level, we got to give you a 5. Arena, I'm gonna go 4 on Arena and offense and defense. I think she can make sense in the right team, but is she gonna be like god tier in the Arena? Probably not. Faction Wars, yeah, she's got the AoE debuffing, so we'll give her a 5. There's lots of utility there. Clan Boss, unfortunately, you have to have HP burn on 2 enemies, which is never going to happen in the Clan Boss, so she's only going to place the weekend. But with the triple hit A1, the HP burns, stack and stuff, we can give her a 4 there. Fire Knight, triple hit A1, and the defense break and all that. Yeah, sure, she'd be pretty solid and lots of progression teams there. Dragon, gosh, it's like a 4.5. Sure, let's go 4 on that. Minotaur, we can go 5. She's solid there. Campaign 4. Force Keep, she's got defense break, and she's a neutral affinity. Golem, she can actually be pretty solid. We'll give her a 5, and then she's going to be fine in most of these keys. She does not have any, like, utility for magic and spirit, though. So I'm going to go 4 and then 2 because she's a weak affinity there on the spirit keep. You're not going to want to send her there. So let's get those sent, and let's go into another run here. She can also be pretty decent in the Golem, so let's fire up a Golem run while we're talking about things here. So, yeah, it was in honor of the Sicia 10X event coming. I wanted to get a video out there on Sicia where we do a deep dive and really talk about her. Is she a good champion? Yes. It's very cool that she's got amazing aesthetics and she's in world-class spider teams. can do a lot of good debuffing, especially when there's multiple enemies and she's booked and invested in. She can actually be pretty solid. Should you pull for her during this 10x that's coming up? If you're watching this video pretty soon, within a day or two of when I put it out. Now, if you're watching this video later, the 10x will have already happened. But pulling for her in the 10x, I would say for most people, it doesn't make sense to YOLO for her. It'd be more of like an end game player that's a high spender, that's champion collecting and wants to make sure they have an insane spider team. It would make more sense for that person. If somebody's more in the progression phase of their account, I would probably save your shards for a 2x where you can get a little bit more progression by summoning just like good epics and good legendaries in general. So that's my stance on it. And remember, if you want access to that infographic, it is down below in the pinned comment. You can pull that up whenever you would like to see the multipliers and the different stuff that goes into Sicia. So that'll do it for this one. As always, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.